Do you ask yourself why Coca-Cola is still advertising despite being known to the entire world? The brand recognition in the US alone is at almost 100% amongst adults, which is crazy. And yet, Coca-Cola still spends $4.3 billion on advertising annually worldwide. That's almost as much as the GDP of Barbados. Spending so much just on advertising, does that even make sense? Or should Coca-Cola spend its money in better ways? When we think of Coca-Cola, we think of this behemoth that everybody knows. We think of the $37 billion global revenue, and it feels natural to see the red and white logo during the Olympic Games, NASCAR, or countless TV shows. We never question the necessity of being bombarded with the same message year in and year out. It just seems to make sense. Next thing you know, you're in a meeting with your boss discussing whether you should turn off all advertising for your organic t-shirts made from grapefruit fiber because your CPO in the last week was too high. By the way, did you know that grapefruits originated from Barbados as well? I did not. To be able to argue with your boss why you should not turn off all advertising, here are some background facts to compare yourself with the mighty Coca-Cola. First, let's look at how Coca-Cola became so well known and has their formula for success changed recently. Then, let's look at what marketing principles are at work here. And most importantly, what does Barbados have to do with all of this? Even though Coca-Cola isn't the largest advertiser in the US anymore, that spot would go to Amazon. Their commercials are iconic, and I bet you could name at least one spot that's ingrained into your brain. Over decades, they have spent lavishly on traditional media advertising, and it's still paying off. For every dollar spent in advertising, Coca-Cola made $9 back in revenue in 2019, and that $1 will continue to pay dividends. You can consider Coca-Cola to be the classical example of the power of advertising and brand exposure. To put this into numbers, Coca-Cola has a 42.8% market share of the entire US carbonated beverages market. It is estimated that there are It is estimated that there's 2.8 million of Coca-Cola vending machines on this planet. The most impressive stat is that the Coca-Cola Classic brand is worth 71.7 billion, and the next soft drink brand in this ranking is Red Bull with 12.7 billion. The funny thing is that every vending machine, every can in a supermarket, every soft drink stand at a sports event is a mini marketing campaign in itself. In all of these campaigns, 3 psychological effects play a role: the Barber-Minor phenomenon, the mere exposure effect, and the law of repetition. The Barber-Minor phenomenon, also known as the frequency illusion, is when you think about going to a tropical island or buying a new car, and suddenly that car is everywhere and you see images of that same island all over the place. Suddenly, everybody drives a Hummer, and suddenly you realize that Rihanna is from Barbados as well, even though that's something you never really cared about. Once the Barber-Minor phenomenon is fully engaged, the mere exposure effect kicks in. A heightened awareness for a brand or a product gradually starts to instill comfort in us whenever we see that brand. When you see the golden arches of McDonald's, foreign cities suddenly don't appear to be as foreign anymore. You get comfortable, and you may even eat at McDonald's even if you don't eat at McDonald's at home. That is why you see a Christmas-themed Coca-Cola commercial every year. Suddenly, it's that time of the year when you see the Coca-Cola truck commercial roll around for the first time. Just like the song Last Christmas, it has become a modern Christmas tradition. Coca-Cola wants to piggyback on the mere exposure effect during every season or even time of the day with every beverage that they have. Fanta signals it's summer for the kids, Sprite is an autumn drink, and Minute Maid is the perfect start into the day, and so on. Certain tastes and images create emotional recollections in our brains, and creating that is the strongest marketing in the world. It is safe to say that inventing modern-day Santa was a stroke of genius for Coke. Just as brilliant as spending $4 billion on marketing every year to recall those nostalgic feelings. The problem with the Barber-Minor and the mere exposure effect is that these emotions need to be actively triggered through external influences. Something like 2.8 million vending machines worldwide, cans in a supermarket, or Christmas season themed advertising. Coke needs to repeat the messaging every year to make it stick in your brain. I have used the same technique throughout the entire video. In the beginning, you may have thought what a weird comparison the Barbados GDP has been. then over the span of the last few minutes, you might have felt a longing for sandy beaches and tropical cocktails. Now, you may think about actually going on that Caribbean cruise you've always dreamed of, or booking a vacation in general. That, of course, is the suggestive power of advertising applied. Coca-Cola is a master in that matter and is very skillful at using the frequency illusion, the mirror exposure effect, and the law of repetition. It is also the reason why Coca-Cola cannot ever stop advertising, or its sales would disappear. This is one of the most common reasons why brands die. They just disappear from public perception. So copy a page from Coca-Cola's playbook and be seemingly everywhere for your target audience, even with no trackable conversions. This is also the reason why you see the same company sponsoring countless of influencers. The individual conversions from each influencer are nice, but building a global brand is much nicer. By the way, have you ever seen our globe from above? I know a company that has done that multiple times, and you need to find out why SpaceX will be impossible to beat, even with Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson living their childhood dream. See you there.